Hey guys, it's SoFlo Josh, and I'm over here in my 2024 Ford Escape Active. With that being said, let's go ahead and get out the exterior and let's talk about this model and why I actually purchased it. Now, before we start, I want to give a huge shout out to a few people. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to my girlfriend. She was the one who recommended me to get into a Ford. Second of all, Anthony Rogue at Ford of Kendall. He helped me out so much into getting into this vehicle and trading in my Honda HR-V for this one. Want to give a huge shout out to him. He's fantastic. If you guys are interested, make sure to go ahead and contact him. He will be able to assist you. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I get rid of my Honda HR-V for a Ford Escape? Nonetheless, a Ford product all in all. And well, I'm going to explain all that in this video, but first and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about the styling of the Ford Escape. Now, one of the things that led me over to the Ford Escape is the styling. And the reason why I say that is because it looks very European with an American badge up in the front. And I like the fact that we have that. You know, the pre-facelift version of the Escape had this catfish kind of lens up in the front. The front grille didn't look too good. It kind of almost looked a little bit like the Hyundai Sonata before they did the major refresh. Now with this one, with this facelift, they've changed it drastically. The headlights are a lot slimmer now. They have full LED design to them. The front grille is actually smaller in the size of it. It's not too much in your face, which I actually prefer. It just looks way better. The creases to the hood area around the side section just looks a lot better. Personally, the design is more cohesive than that of the pre-facelift one, which is great. Now over here up in the front, we have the grille with the Ford logo right there. It does have that matte style finish to the front section, more body cladding kind of style, because this is the active trim, so it's gonna have that. We have a chrome strip up here in the top. Now, if you were to get the higher trim levels, you would actually get this with a full LED light that goes across, and then you would get different headlight unit up at the top. We don't have fog lights for this trim level. You have to go up about 2 trims, I believe, in order to go ahead and get that. We do have some sensors up here in the front, and then you have your safety sense up there as well, which is really nice. I'm getting over here to the side of the vehicle. As you can see, more of that black plastic cladding all around the wheel well. And then we have the 17-inch rims here. Now, I used to have the 18-inch in my Honda, but the 17-inch are great because more added sidewall. And where I work at, there is a ton of potholes, so you know, this is gonna eat them up very well. It's not gonna damage my rims, and it's not gonna damage my wheels, all in all. Over here in the side profile, as you can see, we have a chrome strip all across the top section of the window surround, and it looks really nice. We have a little bit of gloss black right here in the side sections and the middle section right here, but it looks really good. More of that black plastic cladding at the very bottom of the vehicle. And let's go ahead and continue back here. As you see, full LED tail lights right here, which is really good. One thing that the other Honda had was full LED tail lights, but I think the design of these look a lot more nicer. I like this clear design, and the turn signal is red as well. Then you have dual exhaust outlets, which the sports trim of the previous vehicle that I had actually only had a single exhaust tip all the way over there off to the side. This one has a dual exhaust tips. You got the Escape badge right there and the Ford logo. One thing this vehicle does have that my Honda does not have is clearly right away a power tailgate, which is something crazy because the top trim of the HR-V doesn't even let you get a power tailgate at all. Getting over here, as you can see, a ton of trunk space. It's wide. It's a lot more area in order to put stuff in and out of. You got more cubby space down here. You got a actual spare donut, more sections to put stuff in, as you can see right there. And then when you close it up, you have a little tray area off to the sides over here, which is pretty cool. 12 volt right there. Looks very nice as well. Getting into the rear section, as you can see, the door opens pretty wide, so you could easily fit a baby seat over here. And we do have anchor points over here as well. The seats can actually fold down, of course, but they can also recline, which is really nice to see as well. But if you wanted to slide it up forward, and add more space into the rear section, maybe put something down here, you can go ahead and do that, which is a really nice feature that, you know, Ford has actually added to this model. And that's for both seats, so not just these seats over here off to the side, it's actually going to be on the both sections right here. Getting into the back seat, there is a ton of legroom, and honestly I feel like the amount of legroom space that I have in this vehicle is a lot more than my Honda that I had, which is really good. As you can see, a ton of legroom space. I'm 6 foot tall, and the seats recline backwards. There's no sunroof in this vehicle whatsoever, so that means there's not going to be any intrusion into the rear occupant headspace whatsoever. But it feels great. It feels very airy in here. The windows are very large, which is another added plus, so then you don't feel too claustrophobic in a compact utility vehicle like this. We got rear air vents. The Honda didn't even have 2 USB type C's, and you actually get a fold out cubby cup holder section right here, which is really good, especially if you have kids. This is going to be great, so then they can go ahead and just sit here. They don't have to worry about putting their drinks in, you know, the cubby spaces down here, which you do have one here, but it's pretty small. It's not too big. This is going to really help out whenever it comes to having family members or kids back here, all in all. But overall, it feels very good. You know, you sit up a little bit higher than you do the front seats, which is quite normal for, you know, a compact utility vehicle in this class. So let's go ahead and get into the front seat section. And getting into the front seat area. Now, this is one thing that I love about this vehicle. The huge thing that I complained about the Honda HR-V was that the seats felt like you were sitting on a hard cardboard or like a wood. These seats are so nice and plush to feel like you feel comfortable. You know that when you go on a long road trip, you're gonna feel comfortable. These are the cloth seats. These aren't the leatherette or the full-on leather ones, which I'm fine with because they're more breathable, and especially the state of Florida, and since I do live in Miami where it is basically year-round hot, this is going to be a lot better compared to having a leather seat. But it feels great. Sitting in here, you got a nice steering wheel right here with the Ford logo right there. You got all your switches right here to control your media control, hang up the phone, so on and so forth. And then you got your cruise control, and you have your safety system buttons right there. We could go ahead and turn that on and off. There is more active safety system. I believe we have for collision mitigation, lane departure warning, we have the blind spot detection, and we have rear cross traffic alert, which is very nice, and I'm happy to have that in this vehicle as well. Now down here we got dual climate control, another thing that my previous vehicle did not have. So as you can see, the more and more that I talk about some of the things that my previous car didn't have, you're kind of realizing, oh wow, this is kind of more of like an elevated version or a lot better, you know, packaged vehicle compared to that of your Honda. And yes, it is a more packaged vehicle. They have more stuff in this vehicle, and mind you, the price of this vehicle is $30,995. And so think about that for a second. The Honda HR-V is roughly around that price point, and there's features that that car has, or this car has, that that car doesn't have automatically within that sport trim. And now we're talking about base, you know, from a base trim like the active to what the sport trim is, which is the mid trim of the HR-V. I mean, that's saying a lot. You know, we even have a max AC button, which is crazy. We have a nice vents over here. They're very large vents, so that means it's going to have a lot of width to it, so that you can have more cooling towards your body. I like this shifter right here. As you can see, it's that rotary style finish that we first saw. I believe it was in the Ford Fusion they got it, the previous generation, which they don't make anymore, unfortunately. But as you see, it's a really nice shifter. We put it into reverse. We have a trajectory right there for the rear reverse, and then we got the neutral drive, and then we have a low button right there. Like I said, this is really nice. I like the way that it feels. It's solid, it's put together. It doesn't feel, you know, cheap in that way of feeling. We have an emergency parking brake, auto hold right there. We have the automatic start stop system right there, and then we have drive modes that you can actually get into. And the one thing I love is we have an actual sport button. The Honda only had sport in the transmission. This is sport as in for, not, it's the acceleration, the optimization for the engine to respond a lot faster, and the optimization for the transmission to react a lot faster as well. So that's a great thing compared to what the Honda had in that, vehicle. 2 cup holders right here, pretty large cup holders. Now they're not large enough to fit a 32-ounce bottle water that I typically use, but nonetheless it's good. You have a little phone tree right here, you could put your phone. Upper trims will get the wireless charging pad, but I don't really need it because I'm not a huge fan of the wireless chargers in any car, no matter if they have a cooling feature or not. I just don't like them. I'd rather use either a cord or have my phone wireless connected to the infotainment. Speaking about the infotainment, we do have an 8-inch touchscreen display over here, which is really nice. You have the hotkey to go back into the infotainment right here, or you can go into Apple CarPlay. This is wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you have both. It gets the wireless CarPlay stuff, but you can also wire it in, which is really good to see. We have a USB Type-C, as you see it's connected, and a regular USB 12-volt down there. And all in all, it's really good. I like the infotainment system. There is a lot of things. A plus to this infotainment system is that it does have over-the-air updates, which I'm actually a huge fan of. I love over-the-air updates because it's always going to keep your vehicle, within the software of whatever Ford is releasing at the current time. You can go ahead and update the details. You could see everything right there. This is the Sync 4 operating system, which I am a fan of. Hopefully for the next generation of the Ford products, they add the Google embedded. I think actually the top trims with the 13.2-inch touchscreen display has the Google embedded system. So this one right here still doesn't have it, but I would love to see it maybe in the future. Digital gauge cluster right there, looks really good. Right now I did recently a trip, and I've only done a few miles, not a lot of miles, so it's not calculating the full MPG yet. And plus I only have 282 miles on it, so it's not going to calculate the right amount of what I'm averaging. But as of delivery of this vehicle, I've been doing 20.5, which is actually a lot better than my HRV, what I was doing previously. You got your fuel gauge right there off to the side, and your engine temp as well. You got your control for your front lights, and then display lights right here. Really nice to see. But all in all, it's really great. Now, one of the biggest things as to why I got rid of my HRV for this is actually what lies underneath the hood. And so the base trim of the Escape comes with a 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder that's actually linked to a 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, the reason why this is great is because the Honda had a CVT transmission linked to a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. And I wasn't a huge fan of that CVT. That CVT held that vehicle back so much. It was one of the biggest drawbacks about that vehicle. Everybody's mentioned it. All the press people have mentioned it. The amount of videos I saw out there stating about that was, it's true. It's a vehicle where it just doesn't make a lot of sense. The engine just holds, well, the CVT holds that engine back. The 158 horsepower that it has is not that great. Now, this 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder actually produces 181 horsepower and 190 pound-feet of torque. Now, that's really good. That is a lot of torque, and also the horsepower is up compared to that of what I had in the HRV. So all in all, it's actually a great engine. And honestly, I haven't really heard a lot of bad things about this engine. Of course, if you take really good care of your engine or the maintenance and stuff like that, you're actually going to have a reliable vehicle. The issue is that many people always think, oh my god, it's a 3-cylinder, it's not going to be reliable. No, you can't think that way. You gotta also understand that there's a lot of people who out there neglect their car. They don't take it to get their oil change whenever it's due for an oil change or anything like that, which is crazy. Once my car states, hey, you know, service is due, I take it in within that same week, because I want to make sure that my car is well taken care of. I like to take care of my cars. I don't like them to be thrashed. I don't want to neglect my car. You know, it's a vehicle that I purchased. It's a huge purchase. In fact, it's the second biggest purchase that you do in your life outside of buying a house. So I want to take care of this car. Speaking about, you know, this vehicle being a second big thing that you purchase in your life, pricing wise, so like I said, $30,990 for this vehicle. And so out the door, it was roughly around I believe it was $27,000 that I paid for this vehicle, and my payments only went up by $8, which is actually not that bad given the circumstances that we are in, with, you know, rates and so on and so forth. I was able to, since this is a lease, I did it through Ford Credit, and so I have Ford Credit. I did it for 48 months. So within these 4 years, I'm going to test the reliability of Ford and this vehicle. I am going to give it my all to make sure to keep you guys updated whenever it comes to anything that has to do with this vehicle. So then maybe in the future, if you are interested in purchasing an Escape, you will know exactly how this vehicle is and also the reliability of it. Now, this is of course one owner. You know, everybody has their own issues with certain cars and so on and so forth, but you know, typically I tend to like to take care of my cars. All in all, hello sir, you're doing a fantastic job. Look at the way he's doing that. Anyways, but yeah, you know, the car feels great. Suspension feels fantastic. Like I said, having 17-inch wheels with a great large amount of sidewall is gonna really help with the bumps that are on this road. Now, the state of Florida is a flat state, so there's not gonna be a ton of, like, you know, hills, curves, or maybe some potholes. We don't get a lot of potholes, like for example, you know, like the upper states, you know, Chicago, they usually gets a lot of potholes, or Canada, since it snows so much over there. But over here in the state of Florida, we don't get a lot of that. We get a lot of rain, but like I mentioned, the bumps don't feel, you know, that intrusive. With the Honda, you felt kind of like everything whenever you would go over a bump. With this car, you don't really feel that thus far from me owning it, with only like 2 weeks since I've owned it. But it feels great. Now, like I said, you can put this car into sport mode. We're gonna go ahead and do that so I could demonstrate exactly how this car feels. It's insane. You will actually spin the front wheels once we get over here. Let's go ahead and get to the stop, and let's go ahead and floor it. Yeah, this car feels fantastic. The way that this car just like pushes and guns is insane, and it's only a 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. You know, this is only going out to the front wheels, but that 8-speed automatic transmission, like I told you, it's just optimized better when you put it into sport mode, or even having a normal mode. It kicks down. It's actually really fast, and the way that Ford has developed the transmission is just great. I think it is top notch. My favorite transmission I've ever had in any car. Now, mind you, I've had my fair share of the cars. I had a Hyundai Elantra GT. I then had a BMW X2 M35i, the Honda HR-V Sport, and then now this. And out of those vehicles, this car feels like the most fun to drive, and that says a lot. That says a lot, especially given the fact of, like, you know, driving those other cars, and especially the BMW, when, you know, you take into the accountability that car had 306 horsepower. Now I'm at 181 horsepower, and I feel like I have more fun in this car. That really does say a lot as to, like, what, you know, it feels to drive a vehicle like this compared to that. But let's go ahead and get over here back to the park, and let's go ahead and wrap up. All right, so let's go ahead and shut off the vehicle, and let's get out to the exterior and wrap up this video. Now, like I said, with these 4 years that I have of the lease of the Escape, I want to test everything. I want to see the reliability of where Ford has come a long way and improving that reliability. You know, that 3-cylinder engine that's underneath the hood, it's great. It's a turbocharged, it's very peppy, it moves a lot faster than the Honda, I will state that, and it feels a lot more fun. And, you know, Ford has that sense of performance derivative from their Ford performance brand, and they kind of add a little bit of flair to this vehicle, and it just feels great. You know, this car is a European car as well. It's called the Kuga, so I'm almost sure that they add a little bit of sportiness into the American market version. And also, this vehicle is manufactured here in the United States of America. I believe at its Illinois plant over there in Chicago that they have, which is really good. I like the fact that this car is a full American vehicle. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.